Starting in around 2008, I built an early one-wheel prototype. It was not an optimistic time.
We're in an urgent situation.
We're now skydiving without a parachute.
Nobody thought the future was going to be exciting or amazing. Like, oh, we probably topped out pre-2008. That was the best it's going to get type of feeling. I'm in my 20s and I'm like, no, the future's gonna be awesome. Like, we just need to make things that are awesome, and then the future will be awesome. Like, we need things that make people optimistic and hopeful about the future of, technology in the world. So I did my undergrad in neuroengineering, and I was more interested in the engineering than the science part. I got into working in the machine shop and building stuff, and ended up doing a master's degree in mechanical engineering and getting to shape metal using machine tools and get to know laser cutters and 3D printers and stuff like that. After I finished my master's, I went to work at IDEO, which was a very storied product design consulting firm. It was kind of a dream job to go help create the future. Got me really fired up about making things, being able to build what's in your imagination. At IDEO, we were really into start with the minimum. Don't add all these systems and things if that's not what you need. Try it without that first, right? And so it was ab roller, a couple pieces of metal, you stand on that, you can't really ride it. It doesn't work. So I was like, okay, I gotta go do this control systems thing. Got an Arduino and lead acid batteries, and this became old iron sides. At the time, it seemed pretty high tech. But now it, of course, seems quaint and old-fashioned. But putting all that stuff together into something you could ride like a board, it's actively controlled, it's motorized, and it does the work of balancing for you so that you can just lean to go and lean back to slow down. I brought it for some of my friends to ride, and people were really into it, just huge smiles on their faces and pretty quick learning curve. 30 seconds of, whoa, how's this work? And then they're riding on their own. From that, it's well, this could be a product. Up till then, it was not a product. It was definitely just my personal side project, right? No intention of commercializing it. But seeing those reactions, that's really when I was like, oh, maybe this could be a product. So I rented this little workshop in Mountain View, just started trying to build a more refined, not quite production, but production intent version of the one-wheel experience. First, it also seemed crazy to quit my dream job and go try to make a one-wheeled skateboard. That was not an easy bet. So just rolling up to the first kind of workshop office that I rented. Unit N, as we like to call it. Let's go check it out. This is where I started the company, Unit N, over here. 3/4 workshop, 1/4 little office space. And this is where I was building the prototypes that were right before launch. So kind of a nostalgic place for sure. Spent a lot of hours in here just trying to make the thing work. Back in the early days, obviously we were just figuring everything out, all the firmware stuff, how it should ride. So this little parking lot got a lot of sessions. So this right here, I mean, you can't ask for much more when you're building version 1.0 one wheel, because it's got this little up and this little down. And so one day through a series of events, it turns out Kelly Slater came by to ride the one-wheel prototype. And he's out here, he's doing hillside turns and zooming around. Well, not zooming around, didn't really go that fast at that point. But then he comes over here and rides it off this thing. And I think he said, "That's the scariest 3-inch wave I've ever seen." It was classic moment. We had our little experience meeting Kelly, and that was super cool. So there was a new startup battery company basically called A123 that was making super high power lithium batteries. And one of the challenges is these car companies are buying tens of millions of cells. We'd rather just deal with them and not you who wants to buy one box full. No lithium battery company really wants to sell to a startup.
Well, I mean, I heard like 2 more about this. Like, how many BMS you want to break?
Several.
Okay.
No.
Because they were a startup, they were like a little bit more flexible, and so I used their batteries to build some of those pre-production Onewheels. And that was the first time it was lithium powered, which automatically was just like actually usable amount of range, like actually light and compact enough. We had these early prototypes. I guess there was a pink one, a black one, a blue one, and packaging it all into a form factor that could work in production. And then also starting to try to figure out like, what is this thing going to be called? How is it going to be positioned in the world? Was really, what 2013, 2014 were all about.
When we tilt it forward, it goes forward. It's proportional, so you lean more, you go faster. Lean back, slow down. If you lean the other way, you'll actually drive the other way.
So you quit your day job, you're working in the workshop, made a couple prototypes, finally you're ready to launch it to the world, and you circle CES 2014. Take me through that moment of unveiling.
Didn't have a whole ton of a plan other than that, like, need to go out there, need to have a prototype that worked, and just figure the rest of it out. So I somehow like barely made it to the opening of the press event with like the prototype after all, and it worked.
It's all about the Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas this week.
Alexis Santos here, and it is the final day of CES 2014, and I am tired of walking.
I'm here at the Onewheel stand with Kyle, who's got this very cool looking prototype. Tell us a little bit more about the Onewheel.
Yeah, so Onewheel is the world's first self-balancing electric skateboard. It really feels like you're riding a snowboard on powder or riding a surfboard down a wave. We really consider Onewheel to be a new board sport. So it's definitely similar to skateboarding in some ways, but it has more in common really with snowboarding, wakeboarding, and surfing. So it's really a new kind of digitally enabled board sport.
The same day as CES, we also launched a Kickstarter campaign. And the goal was $100,000, which at the time was about $100,000 more than I had to put into the program. So, that was the reason for that goal.
Yeah, check it out. It's on the front page of Kickstarter right now.
We're raising $100K on Kickstarter.
Yeah, we've already got 43.
What's up, Kickstarter? This is Kyle from Onewheel, and we're just here to give you an update after 10 days of our Kickstarter campaign. It's been amazing. We funded in 5, and we're over 200% of our funding goal.
But we were able to blow it out of the water and ended up doing over 600,000 in the, I think it was 3 weeks of that Kickstarter. And the launch was awesome. People from all over the world were like, this is cool. Never seen anything like this before.
Read that quote. That's pretty.
The opener, when one wheel is enough, the hoverboard movement has produced mostly cheap, childish, dangerous devices. And then there's the Onewheel, the kind of rugged, versatile toy we hoped the future would bring. There it is. Pretty cool.
This is awesome! That was so fun.
How would you describe your first Onewheel ride?
It was so much fun, really. Thank you guys. That was awesome.
So it's like you're so excited because you just launched this thing. It's really cool. It's happening. You're getting all these backers. And then it's also dawning on you like, oh, now we have to actually make it. Like we have to actually be able to build several hundred pre-orders, right, from Kickstarter. By the way, the prototype we're just showing is like really not what it needs to be in order to actually, ship the first gen product. If you look at those early prototypes, just like circuit boards hanging out, didn't have a motor supplier, didn't know how to make a controller. Basically all the major things still had to be figured out between then and production. And first you got to build one. So just trying to figure that out, like what tools do you need and like what kind of fixtures and stuff like that to do that. And then, okay, let's build 10. Okay, how many people are you going to need? Like, how are you going to set this all up? And we had a pretty ambitious timeline. Like, I was really adamant, like, we got to do this in 8 months from the Kickstarter launch date.
Here we are at the factory, check it out.
Building the sort of supply chain for like, okay, we need go-kart tires in like actually pretty big quantity, and we need kind of skateboard decks, but not really skateboard decks. Also, nobody's taking you seriously, right? Like here you are, one-wheeled skateboard company. People have never seen anything like this. You have no market proof. Just raised some money on Kickstarter. They're like, are we gonna take you seriously? Are we actually gonna do business with these guys? Like, is this for real? Like, is this a scam? Like, what's happening? You know? So building that up had interesting challenges. I mean, it's worth mentioning too, like, everybody thought we were crazy for building in the US. And a lot of people still think we're crazy, but from like serial number 1 to today, like every single one wheel has been built in the US and built in California. Like, always makes sense to me. It's like somebody's gonna have to do the work and put these things together, and might as well be down the street versus like on the other side of the world. And so that's kind of been one of our core values, like, you know, since the beginning.
As soon as the Kickstarter funded and Kyle and the team had so much engineering work to do, I set off in a van with a few friends for about 2 months, and all we did was show people what Onewheel was. Being able to share Onewheel with people for the first time was like being able to share fire for the first time for early humans. It was just this magic that you had, and it was so fun because everyone would be just jaw on the floor, eyes shining. That was just a magical time.
Going from we have all the one wheels to now other people have one wheels was sort of a binary, you know, it's like there was before and then there's after, right? And so now there's one wheels in the world.
I haven't gotten over the feeling. You get stoked every time you hop on it, you know? 5 seconds later, you have that feeling, wow, I'm floating again. The other sports, you know, you need good waves or whatnot. You need snow. This, you just hop on and go.
Realistically, we didn't have any idea how people were going to use these things. You know, like, are they going to be all chill and ride it to the store, or are they going to go as aggressively as possible? And, you know, we had to kind of take some educated guesses there and, you know, try to make sure we covered all the cases. Real world testing, right? Like from the beginning, that's always, you know, been the key.
I remember the first time that I took a Onewheel to the beach. It was like breaking the fourth wall. It was like realizing that the boundaries that you thought maybe there were, like, there aren't. And once we shipped boards to people, that was happening times, you know, hundreds of boards in the world. It was like this renaissance period where you have people that are filmmakers realizing, oh, this is amazing for filming. You have people that are into board sports realizing that this ties into their lifestyle. You have people that just love gadgets that are amazed at how this thing even works. It was just amazing to see how Onewheel just like filled into all of these cracks of different corners of life, and just watching these people put it to use in different ways. And so that was just a super exciting period, because you'd be looking at your phone and seeing that everyone was doing that. Basically, everyone was going out there and discovering what you could do and couldn't do, and tricks and riding on trails and all these things that maybe we knew deep down were possible, but everyone was sort of like discovering and exploring, but kind of all at the same time, which was really a special moment. We were racing each other around our building at nighttime. You know, we had like a little chalkboard with our lap times, and that just kind of snowballed into throwing the first kind of friends and friends of friends race that we did in Golden Gate Park in San Francisco. We were always just doing what we thought was awesome and what we thought we would want to do, and just knowing that it can be and deserves to be a board sport and not like some techie toy that lives in your garage and collects dust.
The original one-wheel motor is totally insane. It uses crazy technology. I don't think the people who sold it to us totally understood it. I don't think we totally understood it. It worked pretty well, you know, but it's like very esoteric, was super hard to make, but you know, it got us going. So then we had to figure out like, okay, now we've actually seen how people use one wheels, like what kind of motor would you actually want to have? You know, what kind of torque, what kind of speed and all that. And so we were able to design our own motor for Plus, which is made a lot more sense than what we had in the original.
I love it. It's an Apelli. Oh my gosh. So I'm the first one outside the company to see this.
You are the first person. Oh. This is One Wheel Plus. That was a pretty cool moment because, you know, One Wheel Plus had a whole new motor. And that was the first time that someone really got to feel what more power felt like.
We were all in the V1s and they were revolutionary for what they were at the time. But once the Plus came out, that's when I think we were able to really start doing a lot more tricks. That's why, like, in that moment and throughout that summer, I completely shifted my focus from paddleboarding and skating to like one wheel. Like, this is sick. I want to do this a lot. I want to ride this a lot. I want to make videos. I want to be teaming up with whoever's doing this thing. Like, this is really cool.
You started to see the roots of racing and off-road riding and sort of like one wheel as an actual sport. Plus is when that started to evolve and find its form.
And that got stepped up into the XR, which had more range, but essentially the Plus and the XR ride similarly, and there's a very similar package. And that was a major step up.
Like that combination, you know, of range and power, you know, with all the other good stuff, really unlocked a lot. I always dreamed that one wheel could become what it is today, where it's really established into the world, where there's just a community of people that love it, and where it's grown beyond where it began.
Justin Thompson, leader of Wheelers, founder of Float Life Festival, Southern Raft Supply, one of the greatest, most legendary one-wheel retail outfits in the world.
Float Life Fest 3, I was like, oh wow, we're onto something. This is insane. Like, we had Red Bull there. We had, you know, all these people on the course watching this dual slalom come down. All these people come down. There were, you know, just epic spills. Just the stoke was so high. It was just amazing. And I think that was the beginning of something really special and a big change in the community. It's when everybody had like, wow, this is real, we can do this.
So much has changed with the sport. From the beginning, it was just casual riding and people would ride on the beach and have a good time. And then we started to see this movement of riders in group rides. You know, one wheel is a movement and it's moved into freestyle and racing and all aspects of riding.
The culture is like no other. It's come with a family that, you know, we never knew that we were missing. After Shredfest 1, I remember just sitting there with Manuel, just feeling very proud of what we did. We're in it. We're gonna keep growing and keep doing our things.
Over the past 10 years, just seeing how many different subcultures and communities could flourish and come together with just this one device. As simple as it may seem, that brought all of us together.
The biggest thing is the community, for sure. The second thing is it is a daily tool in my life. I wouldn't see life without it, to be honest.
I've been able to meet so many different people from all walks of life. One Wheel has really just been about bringing people together to have a good time in a way that we don't see in other sports.
Riding is amazing, and being a part of anything is fun, having community, but to be able to, with your friends, like discover what's possible in something, especially something new, it's just so cool, so magical.
Oh, still got the antenna up there. Was never quite sure what you could tune in with that antenna on the roof. Yeah, so that was the garage, you know, where I was trying to make some electronics and some motors and stuff that actually balance you. You know, of course, the lore is like every startup like starts in a garage, you know. So yeah, that was the garage where I got started on it.
What I'm most proud of is like we've been able to build this global movement and to really feel like we have created a board sport. You know, you just go to the trail, like it's definitely a board sport. We sort of put that out there as like a provocation and a question initially, you know, and now it's really true. Really, like what's most unique about One Wheel is the experience. Like, yeah, sure, there's like different models and there's progress, and like if you look at the stuff we're building today, it's like miles beyond like what it was just a few years ago. But from the very first version, right, it's like you get somebody on it for the first time and they have the experience, like, whoa, this is awesome.
I feel like I'm in the future. This is the future.
I really think like the core of that experience is what, you know, is going to propel this for many years to come.
We have a new One Wheel World Champion.
You're so sick! Let's go!